And I always get a little nervous when I get on that plane, to go to India, because I never know what to expect on the other side, or what's going to happen. Because there's always a situation. You think that life is full of problems. Here you ain't seen nothing. When you go to India, your day begins when you open the tap and there's no water. Right? There's no water in the tap, and then already my mother's screaming, there's no water, someone run, get the pump, but we can't find the key, and then someone shouting for the maid, and the maid is rushing out, we get the pump, and then the pump is not working, and then she's looking at the tank, there's no water there, so we said, okay fine, we get a water tanker. So we ordered a water tanker, and Rajiv has just arrived from India, and this water tanker's arrived, and I have to go to the bathroom. I said, Rajiv, can you just make sure that, supervise the water tanker? He just has to put the pipe into the, tank, and the water needs to fill. That's it. By the time I came out, he had allowed the tanker to back into a driveway. The entire concrete sank, and there was such a large hole on the floor. My mother screaming from inside, my property is gone, everything is damaged, everything is gone. And Rajiv is laughing helplessly. He's just laughing and laughing because he cannot believe that there's a big hole in the concrete. Because his water tanker is really heavy. So then we have to fill that hole. But guess what? The gardener is a part-time cement worker. So he knows how to fill the hole. And he fills the hole the next day. I mean, this is the most amazing part of India. There's something going on all the time. And you're dealing with emergencies on a daily basis. Something or the other. I mean, we had a cat give birth outside our window. You ever heard that sound at night when you're trying to sleep? And then all the kittens keep coming outside the window, and then there's dogs. There's lots and lots of dogs. So the night is very interesting. So you have these cats coming outside the window, then you have the dogs, packs of them, and by 5:30 in the morning the mullah is screaming, calling people to prayer, really loudly. We have a building being built opposite, and we have this cement truck that comes at 4 in the morning with a deafening noise. Deafening. And that noise continues till 9 o'clock. You cannot hear yourself think. It's like like all the time, loud, and you're screaming at each other. And through all this, I would do my meditation, and it would be the background noise. I just didn't hear it. The first day when I came back, I was shocked at what silence was like. Because silence sounds different in India. It sounds totally different. There is something happening all the time. So we had done this trip down south, and we rented a car. We got into this, it was a tempo traveler. It's like a 11 seat thing. And my brother-in-law had Verizon, right? So
he had T-Mobile. Data.
T-Mobile. So he had data. So he knew, how to get from. We were going from Pondicherry all the way to Chidambaram, which is a town, and which way to go. But the driver had different plans. He had a better way of going. He just put down the window and asked any random guy, anybody there, anybody, how to get to this place, and we would reach. The way Google works in India is completely different. It's completely different. You have no use for these maps and anything else. You just roll down your window and ask the person, what is the road to Tanjavur? And there's no signs, there's nothing. It's just a bumpy road, and it's like pitch dark, and you're going, and you reach. It's like you've got to have tremendous faith, courage, and gratitude all the time in India, all the time. Just to have things working. I mean, there was this one time we'd made this booking in this place called Mahabalipuram, which is like a shore temple outside of Chennai, and all the big, really good hotels were booked. And we got to this place, and it was like really bad. It was really bad. My girls are like, Dad, we'll chip in. We'll pay anything. Please get us a decent place. And that night, they have a Jayalalitha rally, like Jayalalitha, the chief minister, just passed away. So they had bussed some 10,000 people from the villages. And all the buses were parked in this hotel.
Oh my God.
And they were all backing out with different kinds of, where these buses back out their music. Each one had a different tune. Each one had a different tune. Okay. So this music going on. And to top it all, there's this chowkidar, there's this, the person who's whistling. Come back.
That wasn't enough signal.
And the whistling didn't stop. All
And is out for.
Oh my goodness.
It's like 2 hours of straight whistling.
It was incredible. It was incredible. The things that you see. And then you're scared to use you're scared to turn off the light in case there are rats or cockroaches in the bedroom. So we had the light.
It wasn't that bad.
I was scared. I was terrified. But then there's something about India which is, and my daughter said it the best when we were leaving. She says, Mom, India is a feeling. You can't put it in words. You can't say what that experience is. It's just a feeling that you have. It's getting up in the morning and we have our coffee in a stainless steel glass, and I want to bring the Davra tumbler just to show them.
Also bring the coffee.
I mean, that's the fun. That's the fun. You sit outside, you watch, people walking by, and it's brought in this stainless steel coffee made. They make a very thick decoction, and to which they add milk. Like it's mainly milk with a little bit of coffee. And you have it in something like this. This is a giant version that my grandmother had, but
This is like ingredients.
and literally, you cool it like that. You cool it like that. Like you can make it go a yard and nothing
My
happens.
son used to call it when he was little yard coffee.
Yard coffee, and it froths up. It froths up, and then the taste of that coffee, that taste of that, it's incredible. Just little thing, the food, the vegetables, even she was talking about the meat, everything is so fresh, so tasty. There's no question of GMOs, the tomatoes are all misshapen, all the vegetables are not perfectly round or large or anything. Every 3 days, the vegetable lady will come in her cart and you pick your vegetables for the next 3 days. That's it. You buy everything fresh. Every morning the milk is delivered fresh to your home. There's something, to be said about that kind of living. It still remains in certain parts of the country.
Talk about some of the nice places we stayed at.
Yeah, I think so. You're just talking smack about that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing about India. It's like the country of contrasts. You have everything. You have the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich. So we had friends of my sister-in-law, Rohini's friends, who were visiting, who came to see us at the hotel. And we were going to take an Ola taxi. Ola is like your Uber. So we were going to take an Ola. We were 7 of us, plus her 8, to go and eat at a restaurant. She said, no, we'll do 2 trips in my car. And so the car drove up, and this driver, and it's a BMW 7 Series. Okay, and you sink into this car, and it silently goes on the road. And it's like, where am I? In which country? There's mayhem outside. There's all kinds of things. There's autos, and auto rickshaws are the cars that go. What are auto rickshaws?
Three-wheeler.
The three-wheelers.
Three-wheeler.
Three-wheeler taxis. Okay. And then you have tuk-tuks, exactly. Then you have your motorbikes, you have cycles, you have dogs, you have cows, and there's this 7 Series car going, So we went and then we had a dinner, and then she said, I've asked for another car because they belong to a very wealthy family, so that we can have another car driving. So Lavanya, she didn't want to miss out on this ride in case that car was an ambassador or something. So she ran and got her place in the car, So we drove back.
Very false.
And we drove back and sailed home in this beautiful car. And then Rajiv and all that thing. You should have come in the other car. Rajiv and my brother-in-law said, why? It was a Rolls Royce. It was interesting that you have so much wealth. On the one hand, you'll see this UB City Mall with Louis Vuitton and all these names of designers that I've never even heard of, European designers. And right outside, there will be this guy selling vada pav, for 10 rupees. The contrasts that you see are just incredible. But this trip that we did was largely for us to, I was following.
But the contrast is getting less and less every time.
It is.
It's getting less.
Definitely. People have much more money. People are living much better than they did when we.
Everybody has smartphones, even the auto drivers.
Everybody has smartphones, and the villages, are all electrified. They all have smartphones. You've got internet everywhere. So, we didn't have trouble right through with internet when we were traveling. But we were looking at we went to see some of the great temples, and one of the places we went to was in the city of Tanjore, where my book is. See, I followed all the places that I've written about in my book. So I went from Chennai, or Madras as they used to call it back then, to Virupuram, where Nagama, all the first part of the book takes place. That's in Virupuram. I tried to find their home or where they lived, but it was 80 years is too long a time. My mother knew of certain places. We looked at it, didn't look the same. We found the police stations. I've been posting on my Facebook page all the pictures and all the stories from that tour, from that trip of places that we went to. And then we went to Chidambaram, where she was born. And the temple in Chidambaram is of the dancing Shiva. It's a very, very ancient temple. And if any of you have read the book, there's a story that I've talked about of Nandanar. Nandanar is an untouchable who longs to be at the temple, but the temple priests, the Dikshitars, they don't allow untouchables to come in. So they tell him that he has to cross a fire. And it says that he walks through the fire and becomes one with the god. So many stories like that I've written in the book, and I've talked about this temple several times in my first book. But I imagined the statue to be huge. But it was really much smaller than I envisioned. Many things that I saw in my writings were quite different from what actually happened. Like I have, in the next book you'll see, I've talked about a Kamakshi Amman temple and a back entrance where there's a river. And there used to be water there in Tanjavur, but all the waters, all the rivers are drying out. There's no water. I posted some pictures, I think, of the Kaveri River, which is one of the biggest rivers. It's like the Ganga of the south. Completely dry for half a mile. And people are playing volleyball there.
Wow.
It's so sad. It's so sad. So a lot of things that I envisioned probably is part of my imagination. And wasn't really, it was disappointing, and they kept making fun of me right through that, this is the place where your mother had breakfast, this is your place where your mother went to the bathroom, this is the place, they teased me right through the trip. But I was looking for some connection with the book. And
She went and asked random guys on the street, oh, is this house still here? My mother stayed here. They said, when? 65 years ago. Oh, okay.
I didn't ask random guys. I asked storekeepers, just looking
Yeah,
for the home, looking for the home. But all the homes on that street, for example, are all big banks, the stores. You can't see what the homes look like. So they've all been rutted and gutted, and everything's gone. So I was on the phone with her, and she says, "Did you find this building, Mangala Vilas?" I said, "Yes, that's the only old building, it's right in front of me." She says, "Just like you're going to be diagonally opposite. It's going to be to your right, just move." And I moved, and I tried everything, and I didn't find what I wanted to find. But the temples were beautiful.
Found the temples.
Huh?
Found the Kovel.
We found the temples. The temples remained. The one she talked about that she used to go to, they're there. The Periya Kovel is there. We found their home in Madras intact. And the children could see that. That was very touching and very moving.
They're still there, yeah.
That was still there in Mylapore. That's totally intact. The first scene in my new book starts with Mundakani Amman Cole Street, when she's a 5-year-old child.
Beautiful
So
street.
it starts with that, and it's exactly the way I envision. But the temples, the city of Tanjore, it's like something coming back from. It's the same as it was 5,000 years ago. The temple is 2,000 years old. 2,000 years old.
Brihadishwara temple?
The Brihadishwara. It's become a UNESCO National Heritage Site, and it's just incredible. I will be posting pictures. I haven't posted them yet. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for all the pictures to come.
About the Nandi.
There's a huge, when it's difficult to describe what all these things are, but there's a huge bull. In every Shiva temple there's always a bull. So, it's a piece of granite. And the stone on top of the temple is about 80 tons. In order to put that stone up there, they would have had to carry it on a plank for 5 miles. So they had, that's the only way they could have done it 2,000 years ago with no instrument. I can't even begin to tell you how fascinating India is, because it's like in every other culture. I've been to Machu Picchu, I've been to Egypt. Every other ancient culture has been replaced and destroyed. Egyptian culture is not as it was, it's Muslim. The culture in Machu Picchu is nothing. It's gone. But the Indian culture has endured. They worship the same Shiva Lingam in the same way that they did 5,000 years ago. What my mother did, the procedure she followed in the temple, is the same one I followed. We walk and do the same things. That's the most incredible part of India. The dress has not, the dress has changed somewhat, but there are so many people in India that still maintain the ancient way of living. You can see the people are so connected to each other. In the cities, perhaps it's become very westernized. It's like a country of contrast. I think it's very difficult to describe the feeling that you get when you go to India or you visit. You just have to be there to understand it. You got to be a little bit also open-minded, because anything can happen there. Just about anything. Whatever you can think of exists in India. Every type of religion, every type of food, every type of cuisine. It's just an incredible place, and it's like you can never take it out of you. I think that I can live here for my entire lifetime, but there's a part of me that will always remain in India. I will always be Indian, So, I don't know if that's been a journey of sorts, but you can always look at the pictures I've been posting on my author page, not on the Hamsa page, the other one. So if you haven't liked it yet, it's time for you to like the Kanchana Krishnan Iyer page. So.